afternoon. Good afternoon, well, everybody.
Welcome to Power Fridays Live, the channel that aims to make a difference in the world through transformation, spiritual growth, and for entrepreneurs. Our vision is to empower individuals to live their lives with purpose and to make a positive impact on the world. We believe that power and purpose are the driving forces behind success and fulfillment in both personal and professional life. Through our broadcast, we discuss business strategies and techniques that can help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. We believe that through sharing knowledge and experience, we can empower each other to succeed and make a difference in the world. Now here's our host, Janelle Pulley.
Hi, welcome to Power Fridays Live. I'm Janelle Pulley, your host, and we are super excited about our guest this evening, who is a business owner, a franchise business owner at that. So we look forward to bringing her on so that she can share a lot of great information. And welcome, Devon. Thank you so much for being my guest host this evening. How are you this
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to be here. Miss Mendez have a wealth of information in the business space. She not only buys business, sells business, but she's also a franchisor. So I'm excited to really unbox everything about her. So I'm happy to be here. This is a powerhouse we have this afternoon, and I'm excited. So here we go.
Yes. So I'm super excited too as well. She's been in business for many, many years and a lot of wisdom that she has to share with us. And one thing that I really love about, she's a mother who's being a mompreneur, taking care of business and handling her business and balancing her work life and her business as well. So she does a great job at that. And I don't see her yet.
She'll be here shortly.
Yeah. Okay, great. So just check that out. And we are coming up to the end of the month, holiday time, and a lot of people are doing different things. And one point that I want to make tonight is to share about it's long-term care insurance awareness month. And so what Miss Mendez is going to talk with us about later, basically, if you have long-term care insurance and consider that as a part of your retirement portfolio, that would be a great resource for you to have when your life changes as you go through various stages of life. And of course, we're not getting any younger minute by minute, but you want to have the resources there available whenever you get to, that part, that age range or that need arises for you, because you just never know when the need may arise, for someone to care for you, at home and or in a I'd rather have at-home care personally. So that's the box I'm checking. Let me just put it that way.
I think everybody will want at-home care. Everybody want to die in the comfort of their own home, or be in the comfort of die is such a strong word.
Well, legally, you're better off passing away there than you are in some of these other places. That's for sure.
Exactly, because you lived your life, you worked hard to get to this point, and now you're in a strange hospital for the rest of your life, or some hospice care or whatever they call it. It can get a little ugly.
Yes, this is true. And Miss Mendez, it looks like she's ready, available. Welcome. Yes.
I'm adding her.
Oh, let me not click on it. Hi, welcome, Megan Mendez. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How about you guys?
We're blessed. We're excited to have you on the call. Miss Mendez.
Can you see me a little bit better? Because I can't figure out this light.
You in the dark.
I know. My kids always get the lights on in this car, but I don't know how to turn the lights on. Isn't that a shame?
Powerhouse entrepreneur and can't turn on the lights.
I can't turn on the lights. These cars got way too much.
They're gonna have to start putting those on a clap on.
Okay, let's see. I turned on some lights in the back. My kids could turn it on all the time, but I can't. Isn't that a shame? Hold on.
Excitement.
Okay. Is that any better? No.
We'll take what we get right about now.
Yes, we can hear your voice, and that's really
And that's
great.
the important part, right?
Yes. And so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Megan, and how you grew up and desired to say one day, it's like, I want to own my own business. So, what was your upbringing like?
So, I was born in Jamaica, born and raised.
Bop, 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 bop.
I came here when I was like 21. I literally left my country and came here. But growing up though, I mean people know Jamaicans they have 10 jobs. That's true sometimes. Um but I grew up with my grandparents, they had shop. They had a shop, like a little store. And then my parents were farmers and they planted yams and they had to figure out, a good way to get their crops off of them instead of letting it spoil. And so they had to kind of negotiate with different buyers and stuff like that. And so just the idea of doing a business was always there. Like it was all around me. By 5, I could help somebody out in the shop without a calculator. Those were things that, you aspired to do when you were around those kinds of people. And so I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer when I grew up. But life didn't really bring me that way. I ended up doing my bachelor's and my master's in business. And then 9/11 happened. And I was passed over for some promotions, and then I decided that and I was afraid of the LSAT, and so a friend of mine talked to me about nursing. I went to nursing school, and nursing kind of provided the money to get into buying and selling businesses, and so that's how I got into the whole buying or flipping businesses. That's the short story.
Well, I love your story, Megan, and I'm really thankful and appreciative that you're here with us tonight. And I know you could be anywhere in the world. So thanks so much for being here. For me, Devon, he is my wonderful guest host tonight, and he's going to lead this conversation with you because I know that he can unpack a lot of from the business perspective and with you being an entrepreneur. So thank you so much for being with us, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much, Devon. Over to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janelle. So Megan, I'm curious, right? Because a lot of times we fall into things unexpectedly. So but buying and selling business from the average person perspective doesn't sound like it's going to be something that's very easy to do. So what was the intro for you? Like how did you get into it? Had you just jumped in?
So, one of the things that I did was I was interested in insurance early on, and so I had gotten myself an insurance license to sell property and casualty and life insurance. And so my first flip was actually an insurance agency. So that was something that I wasn't it wasn't as daunting because it was something that I knew. And so I would encourage anybody, if you're getting into it, don't go out of your league. Do something that you know how to do, because it's a big learning curve when you take over. And if you don't know or semi at least understand what to do, that can really make or break you.
Nice, nice. So for somebody just starting out, because we see a lot of I see a lot of these ads all over the place from these guys that say, make money buying and selling business. You could build a life for yourself buying and sell business. For someone just starting out, what would be your recommendation? Like, where should they go to start? What should they have already pre in place before they even consider going to buy and sell businesses?
I would say that the person has to have forget the money. You need some cash, but I think attitude is more than anything. A lot of people are against working a job, and people talk about 9 to 5, but just think about your 9 to 5 as your practice for being in business. If you're not used to being committed to something, then buying a business and expecting to scale it and have it grow, you're not going to be successful with that, because you really have to stick with things even when it doesn't seem like, you're making sense in it. So I believe that practicing on a job, practicing with something, is the best way for you to get into that. That's the best habit or attitude that you can have, because it's 7:10, right?
Right.
And I'm the first one in my business now in the mornings at 8 o'clock. And some days I'm there till 7 o'clock charting or doing something, or I still have phone calls afterwards. So if you're a person that's not dedicated, that's not committed, that those things are hard for you, then that's probably the biggest setback that you'll have, as in buying and selling businesses.
Yeah, I think that's true. If you don't have that we like to say mindset, or uh one of the things they say, a lot of people fail, and one of the easiest way to change failure is to change your behavior. um and I agree, I understand what you're saying when you say develop that habit of doing good on a job first before you go into business, because a business technically will control your life until you're at a space where you can delegate,
Right.
things, and put the right people in place. Like I always tell people, my job, I build businesses, but my job is to build a business, and then my real job is really recruiting the best people for my business, right?
Hmm.
And so that way I could step out of it. And I think I had a teacher at the university, Mr. Jonathan Ganaris. He said, you know, you should build your business so that if something should happen to you, God forbid you go into a coma, when you wake up out of that coma, your business should be 100 times better than if you were there running your business. So you have to put the right people in place. So I always tell people I collect people, personalities, and stuff like that. That's what I'm always invested in, understanding how people, who they are, what their skill sets are, and how can they supplement, me. I don't try to really improve on my weaknesses if it's going to cost me too much to improve on it, when I can pay somebody that went to, an Ivy League school or a regular school, but just great at what they do. They have a passion for what they do that I might not have a passion for, but the business requires it, you know
Right.
um, so yeah, so until you get to that part, the whole point is you got to do all the things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're it. I talked a little bit about this. People there's things such as absentee business, and you can buy a business and run it from afar, but you still have to be present, because at the end of the day, that's your investment. You don't have to be there all the time. You don't have to be there 24/7, but you have to be in the business. You pop up, you do whatever you got to do, because at the end of the day, there's some people that still are going to only want to talk to you. There's some people who still want to know who's the owner. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter who you have running it, and you still need those people to be able to get to you when something isn't right. I would hate to know that one of my patients are saying, "Oh, I've been calling your administrator for weeks and weeks and weeks, and she didn't do anything." And then I didn't know, and we lost that client. So, I think that being present in your business is probably the best advice that I could give anybody, because that's really how you're going to know the business. That's how you're going to be able to scale it. That's how you're going to know when it's time to sell.
That's so true. And I think the customer service piece is so important. We have a company where we have a bunch of people that wants to become real estate investors, and we help them. as we have an apprenticeship that they can do, because we don't have no coaching program on it or no courses on it. We say if you want to do it, you have to come in, be the apprentice. You got to hit the phone, you got to make the phone calls and stuff. So the software we're using, we applied to be affiliates on the software, since we're making everybody that want to do it get the same software we're using to do all their research and they skip tracing and all the background stuff in real estate. So we send in this thing two, maybe 3 months ago, and I just got a text at 6 o'clock tonight from the company talking about, oh, we heard you wanted to be an affiliate on the software. What do you do? That alone told me I don't want to work with you. You took too long. So if I need something, I have to wait 3 months to get it. So then now my client's looking at me like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Nah, I was like, nope. I was like, nope, that you're not an option no more for me.
Mhm.
So it's very important that that customer service piece is so vital to the success of a business. And even with, we have a software called Epic HQ, even with the software, it's all about getting back to your customers immediately. We automate so much stuff. So because stats says 65% of the calls that come into a business, it goes unanswered. So we have a thing we put into the software called missed call text back. So when a client call you, because we know majority of people using their cell phones now, when a client call you, if you don't pick up, it automatically texts them, say, sorry, we missed your call. How can we help you, pretty much, and we'll have a one of our agents get right back to you. And that's what we do for business, have that in place, and it starts the conversation. We have a bot that takes over the conversation, and then when an agent is available, they can just jump in and take over from the bot, and it's working really well. So that instant, especially with technology now, people have short attention span. If they Google you and they call you and you don't pick up, they going
On
on to
to
the
the
next
next.
on to the next person. So you want to start that conversation. You want to be instant. You want them to be able to reach you. It's funny because I seen this guy. What's the crazy? I want to call him crazy, but he's not crazy. One of these big guys on he's on the internet. He owns a wine company. Him and his friend Gary Vaynerchuk. That's his name, Vaynerchuk or something like that. Back maybe 5-10 years ago, he used to be like so agile about being instant with the customers. And at the time we was like, yo, you're gonna burn yourself out, because he used to be going all hours. And I still think he would burn himself out, but with the advantage of automation now, a lot of this stuff is so simplified. But
Yeah.
yeah, that customer service piece is important. I can't even stress that, because we stretch it to all our clients. You know what I mean? But yeah, so you sold your first business, right? And where did that take you?
After, so I basically, whenever I sell a business, so I bought it, and I mean, this was 12 years ago. So
Hmm.
I literally bought that business for $12,000. I
Hmm.
had it for about a year. I made literally maybe 80, 90,000 net off of it, and then I
Hmm.
turned around and sold it for like 40,000.
Hmm.
So I mean, that was my first one.
So
And
how
so
did you finance that first one? The 12,000. Did you pay it all cash, or did you?
I didn't even have that 12,000. I think I gave the woman 5 or 6,000, and
Hmm.
then I paid her the rest over time, which wasn't hard to
Okay.
do because it was a business that was productive. And so I think I paid her off in maybe 2 months because it
Hmm.
was doing so well. So basically, like, like I said, I didn't even have the 12,000. This was 2010, somewhere around there. So I didn't even have all that money. So, when people say they don't have the money, or don't think of businesses as hundreds of thousands or millions. There's a business in every price range,
Right.
it's just where you want to start at. I always talk about, the McDonald's effect, or the lower things. Start out with something. Don't make
Hmm.
excuses. Don't sit around and say, oh, I can't find any. Sometimes you can find somebody selling something for 20,000, 30,000. They always say, what's trash to you is treasure to someone else. People get frustrated. I've sold a gas station one time because I wanted to go on vacation. I
Right.
wanted to take a 3-week tour in Europe, and I sold it for that. And so people sell for different reasons. So, just get out there and try to see what you can do.
Absolutely. 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 And I think just how you finance the business is so important. People need to change their mindset because they always think that they have to pay for it, the whole cash up front when they see a price on a business, and it's just having that conversation, right? Because it's something we call creative financing. To really put the financing together for that business. So, and people don't even realize they've been part of creative financing from the time they decide to get a credit card, right?
Right, right.
You're using a credit card to pay for whatever it is, whether it be that dress or whatever. You're creatively financing it. You're not the one giving the store the cash. It's the credit card.
Right,
Visa is giving the store the cash, right? And
right.
then you paying the store back over time. And I mean, that's a simplified way of explaining creative financing. But if you can understand that basic understanding, then you can understand that you can structure different ways to finance your business. But all right, so you financed this business, you bought the business, you had it for a year, made 80,000 net, then you sold it for 40,000. What next?
And then I kind of went back to nursing, and I tried again with over the years I did like convenience stores, I did restaurants, I did tutoring business. But then I started getting into gas stations around 2015 or so, and that's the one that I flipped the most of. Um I really like gas stations. But I sold my last one in 2019 or so, and I haven't done any more since then. Then I came into the healthcare space in 2020, right
Hmm.
in the middle of the pandemic. And I think I've heard about home health businesses before. As a nurse, I've heard of it, but I didn't really understand the business of it. And so in 2020, I saw this one in Augusta, Georgia. I was living in Maplewood, New Jersey at the time. And so I know I wanted to get out of New Jersey, but I wanted to get out with something.
Hmm.
And so I came down to Georgia. I saw the business. And then I decided in May, I literally in the middle of the pandemic, I put my two youngest in a car. I, I, I'm married still. I was married at the time. And I basically told him I'm going to Georgia, and I put my kids in the car and we drove down to Augusta. I rented a 3-bedroom furnished townhouse, and I said, you know what? I'll live there for a while, for 3 months, then I'll buy a house. And we did that. We got the house, we got here, and I took over that business June 2020. Let me tell you guys something. That was the beginning of that's my most successful business thus far. And I've made tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars from gas stations
Hmm.
and from other businesses. But getting into the healthcare space was one of the best decisions I've ever made. That has basically turned into $1 million business, turned into multiple other businesses surrounding that. And that's how I became a franchisor. I became a franchisor, owning my own franchise and being able to sell to people all over the country, to sell home health franchises. So, yeah, that was my changing game. 10 years in the game, but well, 10 years in 2020, I was 10
Hmm.
years into buying and selling. So I learned a lot of lessons along the way, but I don't think I was prepared for the healthcare, knowing that there's no end to healthcare. It's like everywhere you turn, it's a possibility to do it, and I have not even touched the surface of it in terms of what's out there. So, yeah, that's basically my spiel. That's where I'm at today. I still hold on to this one. Um, and I think that I'm going into year 4 now with that. But the only thing that the mistake that I think I did all those years was selling too fast, flipping too fast. Once I flipped, I think I could have kept them another year or two, and I probably would have realized a whole lot more in terms of profit.
Nice, nice, nice. And I really want to dig into all those lessons. Um, but the part about going from a business to a franchise, what was that process like? Because I'm sure that wasn't an easy thing to just jump into with all the regulation they have for people to become a franchisor. Can you give us a understanding of what's that process like?
The process, there's two things I can say about the process. If you're gonna do it, if anybody want to do something like that, one is, get a good team to do it. It's a lot of legal legwork. It's a lot of expensive legal legwork. It cost me over 100 grand to do it.
Hmm.
Um, but having known what I know now, I would do it again.
Right.
um at first, I know I've said this on different platforms, that
Hmm.
when I bought businesses, I always avoided franchises.
Hmm.
And that was because of ignorance. I'll go ahead
Right.
and say it. A lot
Right.
of times we have opinions in our head, that we don't know enough about. We don't know enough about something to make that decision. Now, knowing what I know about a franchise, and knowing the backing you have with a franchise, knowing the expertise, like if I go and I buy a gas station, which I have, I'm going in blind. I've never ran a gas station. But if I go in and I buy a franchised gas station, I'm
Hmm.
going in with that knowledge. I'm going in with the whole blueprint of how to operate that business. And so it's powerful. Having a franchise is powerful, and there's power in numbers. So that's
Absolutely.
that's what I've learned by doing this.
And that's where a lot of the fees come from for franchises because they're giving you the blueprint. They're giving you your SOPs, your KPIs. They're giving you everything. So you can just go in there, basically turn key operations, turn the key and just follow your training and follow the system. You don't really have to do too much thinking. There's a reason why kids can go in and run a McDonald's, right?
Mhm.
And McDonald's is $1 billion cooperation because they
Yeah.
have a system, they have a system in place, and a lot of people overlook that. And but franchising isn't for everybody, right? Because if you're the type of person that want to jump in there and think you know better than the franchise, or who has been doing this for umpteen years, know the ins and out of the business, but you
Mhm.
just know you could do it better. It's funny because I had a conversation with one of my mentors one time, and he was like, anybody can make a better burger than McDonald's, but yet they don't make as much money as McDonald's, right? Because McDonald's has a system, right? And
Mhm.
they follow that system, that blueprint, as you said, and that's why they're successful. The burger don't need to be a perfect burger.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? It needs to just follow the system. It needs is the same reason why Ford, I know Ford not a franchise, but Ford was successful because they put the assembly line in place, right? They put a
Mhm.
system in place that made them successful, and that's what if you're gonna get into franchising, to the listeners, is that's what you're buying. You're buying a system already placed, all the tweaks and everything already done for you, so you can just copy and paste, as we say on the computer. Just copy and
Copy
paste
and paste.
and
Yeah.
keep going. You know
Keep
what I
going.
mean? Yeah, and I'm excited about it. But I think one of the best things though is the healthcare industry. One of my mentor, Tim Sales, for a long time back in the late '90s, early 2000, he used to talk about the baby boomers generation retiring. He used to say, if you're gonna get into business that serve the baby boomers. And now we on that cusp of them retiring, and they say something like 15,000 baby boomers retire a day. Don't quote me on that. My numbers might be a little off, but that's a lot of baby boomers get retiring, and they're going to need their health care. They're going to need a lot of things. And I mean, that's just a minute niche of healthcare. 'Cause healthcare is a massive space. Like we're looking at opening a building and coding company. We're looking at a software right now to integrate into the software that we have. So is very interesting. Healthcare got so many different aspects of it. Back in the like 2005, I was had a customer. His job in the health, he was like a recruiter for the healthcare space, and he would recruit doctors and get them like surgeons and all this stuff, and he would negotiate they contract like an NBA had NBA player have an agent. He was kind of like the agents for these high end doctors and nurses. Like he'd be poaching them from different companies and get them paid much more than they was getting paid at the last company. You know what I mean? So the healthcare space is a massive space. But I think the thing I like is when you have the experience in a space and you go into it, I think you're very successful because you know that space, right?
Mhm.
You know the stuff you can do to build that business and make it stronger and make it produce more revenue. So, what were some of the things that you do when you bought the first healthcare company? Well, not the first, but the one you have now.
I mean, it was the first healthcare.
Hmm.
So when some things, one of the things I think, like, how I said the 9 to 5 is practice for your business.
Hmm.
The fact that I had flipped so many different types of businesses, it prepared me for this one. Yes, there was a learning curve, even though I'm medical, there was a learning curve because the business aspect of healthcare, a lot of nurses have no clue about. And
Right.
so I didn't know about the business aspect of it.
Hmm.
So some things that I learned with the healthcare is, like you said, it's a never ending industry,
Hmm.
and you can basically just create other businesses around or other services around what you
Hmm.
do. No matter which way you get into healthcare, you can create other things that supplement it or complement it. And that's the biggest lesson that I feel in healthcare. But that can be applied to anything. When I had gas stations, I added ATM machines, I
Hmm.
added Bitcoin machines, I added vacuums, I charge people for parking. you know there's so much that you can add. So I think just doing the different types of businesses, I was prepared for something like this. But one of the things that make this lucrative is just the fact that it's never ending. You're not fighting for someone to come to you to buy 5 gallons of gas. You're putting yourself out there to people who are private payers who can pay you,
Hmm.
to
Right.
companies who pay for the same services. There's a ton of payer sources out there that will pay for it. And so healthcare is just the way to go.
Absolutely. And when we say healthcare, give us a more deep insight to what part of healthcare like that
So
you're in.
So my franchise is home care, which is
Hmm.
basically sending someone into, someone's home to help them with their personal care. It's also skilled nursing, where we're sending out a nurse to someone's home to do wound care or something like that. We also so our franchise is four different aspects. It's the lab aspect. Um, it's the home care, where I said we're sending people out. It's the skilled nursing, where we're sending nurses to patients home. And it's the staffing that you mentioned, where you're recruiting people, you're negotiating contracts.
Mhm.
That's the four aspects of what we do in terms of the home care, and in terms of my franchise business.
So let me ask you this. I always see these signs up from these different home care agencies where they talk about you can come and work and take care of your parents and get paid for it. How does that fit into the model?
That's a Medicaid thing, and to be
Okay.
honest with you, Medicaid is not something that we even do in Georgia.
Yeah.
In my home care in Georgia, we don't do
Yeah.
Medicaid. Uh,
Got you.
in different states in South Carolina, we do Medicaid, but that particular program, we don't endorse it because it's
Hmm.
very easy to
Get yourself in trouble.
abuse it. Yes, it's
Yeah.
very easily abused, because if I'm your sister and I'm taking care of you, when I'm on the clock, there's nothing to ensure that I'm on the clock. And
Hmm.
so when it comes to Medicaid, there's a lot of fraud and a lot of drawbacks. So, we kind of stay clear away from those things. That's something that we would never do in our franchise, only because of all of the different things that happen with it.
Nice, nice, nice. So, so I'm looking to start a business. I'm seeing. By the way, tell the people what's the name of your franchise because I'm sure they would love to find out more information.
So our franchise is Comfort at Home.
Comfort,
Comfort at Home. Yes.
comfort at home. So yeah, yeah, I could Google that, or we'll send out an email with all that information. Um, and what does the exactly comfort at home franchise do?
So, I mean, do you mean what we offer to people who want to buy
Right,
a franchise?
right, exactly. The listeners are entrepreneurs, so
Hmm.
we want to entice them to contact you to get because I'm sure they're listening and they're gonna want to work with you. So tell them about the franchise so we can get into that.
So our franchise fee is 49.5. With that,
Not
you're
bad.
gonna get all the blueprint. You're gonna get all the training and support. You're gonna get marketing. You're gonna get software support. The whole back office. We're just gonna be there and available to you to ensure your success. Like I said, the blueprint is there, the support is there, the training is there. I get calls from people all the time who they won't purchase a franchise, but they'll go ahead and they went and start a home care. And then 2 years later, they're calling you like, I don't have a patient. I haven't launched. I launched, I had this grand opening, but I still don't have patients. And then they want you to tell them what to do. And my thing is this, it's the reason why I have a franchise. It's because not everybody can go out there and I'll give you guys an example. I went to see an attorney a couple weeks ago, right? And I asked them about a particular thing, representing me on something. And I was basically, telling him what I want done. And he looked at me and he said, Megan, how much did you pay for that information that you're giving to me that you're so sure of? And I said, well, I saw it on Google. And he said, well, that's it. You pay nothing for something, don't expect to get anything. And that's when it hit me like, there's tons of people who want to do stuff and they don't mind paying these little coaches, but you have to. A franchise is giving you the whole blueprint. I'm not giving you a part of this stuff and leaving you. And that's what a lot of coaches do. They give you enough just to get by. We're giving you the whole thing. So you're paying this money, but you're getting the support, you're getting the education. You can Google all you want to do a business, but guys, just do your due diligence and know that businesses are beyond Google. Nobody's gonna put every single thing on there on Google about any business. So you have to be very cautious with that. I literally have people calling me all the time about home care, and I refuse to do that because guess what? I'm selling franchises. And that's what I want people to do. And for me, and even I wouldn't take your money to show you home care, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to give you what I give my franchisees.
Of
And so
course not.
I can't be, I can't be that way. If I'm not going the whole way, I'm not going to do it. And so, that's the difference that we're giving. We're not telling you something and not doing it. We're telling you stuff that we're doing. We're doers, not sayers.
So, and that's important, right? Because I think one of the things is we need to recognize is when you're buying a system, they want you to succeed because your successes directly impacts how the franchisor can provide or sell more businesses. So you want to go to someone that's going to be in your corner. You don't want someone that's just going to give you the book or a course and then forget about you later and say go figure it out yourself. You want to be
Right.
able to have access to people that you can pick up that phone and call them anytime to get that information. That's why franchising is one of the best forms of business to um, to invest in. And for less than $50,000 for a healthcare franchise, that's incredible. Um, or is that just the starting point? Or that's
No,
just
that is no, we have one franchise fee. That's our franchise fee. You know, it's a no-brainer for me, but then, some people might not feel that way. But life is all about choices, I would say. Some of us spend more than 50,000 a year on pocketbooks or on coaches and different coaches, and things that really don't things that are liabilities, put it that way. But you said something earlier about franchises being up there in terms of the best types of business you can buy, and you talked about financing earlier. And what
Mhm.
a lot of people don't know is that there's tons of ways to finance a franchise. While you can't finance a business, a standalone business, just a business, you can finance a franchise. There's tons of ways out there to do that, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why the SBA and other banks will finance a franchise over a standalone business, is because of that success, because those franchisors, they want you to be successful, because your success is my success.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to understand the bankers and the SBA, all of them. The SBA secured a loan from the bank, right? And what they're saying is when you go to a franchise is that you have a proven system. They know it works. They don't. These franchises just don't wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I'm a franchisor." They have to have like a certain amount of time in business before they'll
Correct.
allow you to even apply to be a
Mhm.
to start a franchise. So they know you have a proven system, and they know the and it's been successful. So the only variable technically is the franchisee. So if you go in there and do what the past people have been doing with the franchise, then you should be just as successful. So it gets no easier than that, in my humble opinion.
You're right. You're right. It's a lot of scrutiny that you have to go through. A lot of, you don't just come up with figures. You have to literally, show your audited statements, everything, before you can do a franchise, and some states put you through extra scrutiny to be able to sell in those states. So it's not something that you just get up and do out of the blue. It's a very highly regulated industry.
Absolutely. So when you're considering someone to be a
Mhm.
franchisee, what are you looking for? What should they have in place, or what exactly are you looking for?
So, I mean, I'm looking at people's net worth, obviously, but I'm also looking at, what kind of history, what kind of background this person brings. If they're not a person who's dedicated to something, it's not gonna work for them. And so, we look at all of that. We look at resumes, we look at net worth, we look at, where you are in your career or where you are in your life, what your goals are, what your aspirations are, because all of those things are important things to the success of your franchise.
Absolutely. Um, and pulling it together, because although franchises is one of the best opportunity, you need to have yourself together too.
Yes.
Because I think what people need to understand is kind of like you're kind of being a licensee or a partner of the business. So what you do can affect the way that franchise is looking at. So the franchisor will have to take a deep look into you to see, do I want to get into bed with this person? Is this person going to be a headache for me? Or is this somebody that I can give a system? They can follow this system and make a ton of money and be a shining example of somebody I can promote in commercials and stuff to attract more people that's alike. So you need to definitely have your stuff together when you're considering a franchise. And there's a lot of training. You don't even need to know anything about healthcare, right? Because I'm sure you have training that you can guide people to being successful, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who have home health businesses, they're non-medical, because you have to understand the business side of it more so than the medical side. So you don't have to have that medical experience, that medical background, but having a business background helps. Having a experience managing people, that's probably the biggest part of healthcare or of home health, is managing the people that work for you. Let me tell you that some of the hardest conversations I've had with staff is since I've been in this home healthcare space. So I feel like someone who has experience managing people, motivating people, those people will do best with something like this.
Nice, nice, nice. So what's next for you, Miss Mendez?
What's next for me? So I started a medical practice in 2021. Um, and that's just like blowing up the charts right now. We got some major VA contracts, and I'm looking at opening another location on the other side of the state. So I'm kind of busy with that. So I have, like you said, identified talent. So I have someone running the home care right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like sitting in the back watching the car drive. I'm like a passenger right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it feels good. It really does feel good. And it's a change. It's a big change because I am very controlling. That's my toxic trait, is that I'm controlling. I like things done a certain kind of way. So it's been interesting just sitting back and watching it. But I'm at the point now where I recently moved into a huge building now, and I have both companies in the same building. But I'm at the point now where I can almost leave, and that's them two businesses are running themselves, and I can go another side of the state and repeat the same process. So that's what I'm working on. That's what my 2024 is gonna be looking like. Just growing the medical practice piece, and selling some franchises. February will be a year since we became a franchise, and so we have one of them semi operating right now, another as franchisee, and we're looking to add some more. And I really haven't worked as hard to sell franchises because we had kind of a hiccup in the middle with our name and someone in another state and our trademark issue. So we were kind of not pushing it as much as we should. So 2024, I'll be looking forward to pushing and selling some franchisees.
Absolutely. And how can people who's interested in getting into that medical space and being a comfort at home franchisor reach out to you? Is there email, phone number, anything you would like to share?
So you have listed the website on here.
Right.
And also you guys, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. But you can share my number as well too. Because at the end of the day, you can Google me and still find my number. So, so I'm not very private with that now because people have found me that I didn't even know they were looking for me. So basically that's it's 2023. Anybody can find anything. So I don't mind sharing that information because at the end of the day, it's business, right? And as an entrepreneur, you just have to be open to certain things.
Absolutely. All right. So I have a question. The medical practice. Tell me about that. What is it? Doctors you have working for you? How's that working?
No, actually, I'm a nurse practitioner by trade.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's myself and I have other nurse practitioners who work for me on that space. We're doing some weight management, some testosterone replacement therapy, but our biggest business is veterans. And that's just like literally growing. From 2021 we started and did nothing. 2022 towards the end to now we're about 6 NPs in. So that's a phenomenal growth.
That's huge because nurse practitioner, that's not an easy title to come by. That's
No.
that's like the highest. They could put if, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of that, they pretty much can do what doctors can do, except they don't, for the most part, not everything, obviously, but except they don't have the title of doctor, right?
Pretty much we prescribe, we manage, we treat. There's just certain restrictions depending on the state. There's a lot of states that they have independent practice, like in Florida, New York. The South is never ever, probably never ever gonna be independent. But people have to look at some things as you have to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. There's still ways for you to be successful and do what you want to do. And I totally enjoy it. I'm going into 10 years being a nurse practitioner. So, yeah.
Nice, absolutely. So with that being said, I think we learned a lot of lessons about being in business. What is one of the most powerful lessons you've learned from flipping businesses, owning gas stations, now a franchisor? Um, what would you say for a lot of these new entrepreneurs? What want to share some powerful lessons with us?
One lesson I've learned is never ever, okay, when you're getting ready to do something,
Mm-hmm.
fear is the biggest time waster.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us, we go to 10 people who are our friends or 5 people who are our friends, and we talk to them about what we want to do. Now, the thing that we're forgetting is that those friends have never done what you want to do. And so that fear that you have, the worst that can happen is that you fail.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the best thing that happened is that you learned something. And whatever you learn, no one can take away. So even if you did a business, you tried a business and you fail, it doesn't mean that every business you do will fail. Like I had I was on at a conference. I was a speaker at a conference, maybe back in September.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tell a lot of people this because this is I've been battling this since 2020. I owned a gas station property in New Jersey that
Mm-hmm.
was worth, maybe 1.5 million. I only owed 650,000 in
Mm-hmm.
2020 on that station. When
Mm-hmm.
I sold it in 2019, I sold the business, not the property, and had the
Mm-hmm. Oh, we lost her. Miss Mendez will be right back, but she's go ahead, you back. You sold the business, not the property. You kept the land. Oh, you
yeah,
breaking up.
I sold the business and I kept the property. So the person paid me for the business, the goodwill, and they were paying me rent. Right
Mm-hmm.
in 2020, well, right at the beginning of 2020, this guy literally had a spill. He had a crackhead working for him at the gas station. The crackhead had, I guess somebody pulled away with the diesel pump and they had a spill. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of the employee
Mm-hmm.
going into the booth and turning off the emergency switch, he recorded the spill and sent it to his boss. And his boss, the one that I sold it to, was
Mm-hmm.
also an idiot. I know.
Mm-hmm.
He called the DP and told on himself. So basically, when he did that, the DP came out. That property was deemed not worthless, but to this day, I don't know what the cleanup would be. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then after he did that in 2020, about August, he just walked away from it. And so him walking away from it, one, I lost that income to pay that mortgage. That mortgage was like 6,000 a month, whatever. So I paid
Mm-hmm.
it for a while, and then because of the mounting legal fees with all the
The spill and
cleanup and
everything.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to walk away from it. I decided to stop paying it. And so
Mm-hmm.
the bank came back in and, they took over the property. And it's still, this legal battle is still not even done because they tried to sell it a bunch of times and they sued me saying I tried to, it's a whole lot of things. But
Mm-hmm.
the main lesson from that is that that building, that property had over $300,000 of my cash, just cold cash.
Cash, right.
And I lost that. But
Right.
what I tell people is that, some people losing 300,000, they would probably die. They would probably go crazy. I tell people that what I lost 300,000, but I learned valuable lessons that I would never ever have had I
Mm-hmm.
not taken that venture. And
Right.
so fear is something that's holding a lot of people back. I've made mistakes with flipping businesses. I've made a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but I've also gained a lot from it. And that's
Right.
one thing that someone or no one can take away. So when you're getting ready to do something, trust your gut. Trust, once you've done all your research, you've done all your due diligence, then you're an adult. You can make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Win or lose, that's your decision. Don't let somebody who's never made that walk talk you out of something. If I had
Right.
listened to people about the comfort at home, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be here today because
Right.
people kept telling me it's a pandemic and blah blah blah, and I was like, some of the richest people in this country, Amazon, they made more money during the pandemic than they've ever made.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunities out here, and we just have to get away from that fear because that fear is what's killing your dreams.
Absolutely. And I'm happy you brought the pandemic back up because where you was talking earlier about adding different businesses or different services to the business to grow the business and opening up different types of business from one business. One of the things is when things happen, when whether it be nature or whatever, it creates opportunity. The pandemic created opportunity for a lot of business. A lot of businesses just laid down and got ran over. But the real entrepreneurs used it and made something out of it. They took it as an opportunity, right? And you reminded me when you just say just now, because I had, and this don't have, before there was a pandemic, New York had one of the worst. Well, it was the whole Northeast had blackout, the
Mm-hmm.
blackout,
I
and
was there.
my,
I was
my
there during
barber,
that.
my barber, he owned some Jamaican restaurants, right? Him and his family. He owned one, his sister owned one, his mom and dad owned one. And on that pandemic, he kept his on that blackout, he went and got generators and
Mm-hmm.
kept his restaurant open because nobody his like I said, real entrepreneurs, they see opportunity. He said, listen, nobody can cook, so I gonna keep it open. He used to close by midnight or something like that. I can't remember, but he kept it open and for 24 hours, and he made so much money. He stopped cut, done with the barber shop. He made so much money, and that restaurant has never closed since that blackout. It started running 24 hours. Once he discovered how much money he can make by running 24 hours, it was a wrap. That restaurant has bought the building next door, turned into a club. It has opened another restaurant with liquor license, Nostrand, and it's just that one restaurant just keep growing and growing and giving him more and more business. It helped him build his house in Jamaica, all kind of things. So is true entrepreneurs see opportunity in when bad things happen. So
Yeah, during snowstorms and stuff like that, that's when
mhm.
I make the most money from gas sales.
Yep.
That's just it.
Yeah.
So, you have to see opportunity in times of trouble.
Yeah, your mindset got to be different. When you're in business, you can't, Warren Buffett say when everybody's running out, you run in. That's where the opportunity lies. You know what I mean? So your mindset got to be different.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't want the opportunity when everybody else is doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's saturated, right?
Yes. Yes.
There's no real opportunity there. But when everybody is running away, the real
That's when you
entrepreneurs
get it.
make millions, billions. That's when they make the real money. But yeah. But Miss Mendez, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you. We know how valuable your time is, and we appreciate having you on Power Fridays live. It's over an hour, so we're gonna wrap up and end the live. But as always, anything you need or anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. One of my favorite people in the world just because of the wealth of knowledge that you have and you constantly share with us to help us to grow and become better at what we do every day. So thank you for always sharing that information, and let's keep it going. All right.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. Stay blessed
All
and
right.
highly favored.
You
Later.
too. All righty. Bye bye.
Bye.